I'm still trying my best to put the different strands that you have brought up this morning and try and fit them together. Are you saying then that there has been no conflict between actual, because you were saying that the group of people from your own levels, from the layers that you have mentioned, the group of people causing the mayhem, causing the problem are the militia?
The militia are under the direct command of the owners of the cattle.
Whom you say about 90% of the militia do not own cattle and are not Nigerians. In fact, you say that all the militia do not own cattle, but they drive in cars, they go in cars.
Yes.
And you say that 90% of them are not Nigerians.
They're foreigners, yes.
Yes, so how come it is that, the people whom you cite in Nigeria, who are also at the very top of the ladder, have any connection with this militia group?
Very good question. The Fulani, an ethnic group or a race, let me also be very fair on them. They are very good Fulani people. There are people like Senators Shehu Sani, Kangiwa, and others are good people. But the Fulani, they see themselves as a community. And they span about 17 countries in Africa. Mauritania, Niger, Chad, Guinea, they are all over the place. And they see themselves. In fact, if you go to Katsina State, where the president is from, Maradi is in Niger Republic. Jibia is in Nigeria. You cannot even notice any border. There's a constant flux of people from both sides of the border, which means that, you see, they see themselves as one. So they bring their brothers from all those countries to increase their population.
What you're saying, that happens in many border communities. I mean, I also happen to come from a border community, and the chances that people see themselves as any different, they speak virtually the same language, across those border communities.
But this is deliberate.
Attributed that to the fact that, false lines.
No, it's not just because
as national boundaries.
Do we have border with Mauritania? Do we have border with Guinea? Do we have border with all those other 17 countries? Yet, they are all mixed and come from all these areas. They call them, they invite them.
They call them to do what?
To come and help them with their cattle business. They are invited. They come to, and that's why even the ECOWAS Charter on free movement of goods and people should also be reviewed in terms of our security. Because you cannot just invite people to our country to come and help you with your business, and these people are now terrorists.
Prof, I want to ask you a question. Yes. You say that the research that you did was conducted mostly, I mean, if I'm reading correctly, in the southeast of the country. Did you extend this to the north?
No, we didn't, and hopefully we'll do that.
How can you come out to be finite and, to be very clear in terms of the conclusions that you have reached in your research if you haven't taken it up north?
Because there are other corroborating evidence of what is going on. Number one, the president, the governor of Kaduna State, the Inspector General of Police, they also confirm that majority of these people are foreigners. So it's not as if we are cooking up figures. These are facts.
There are people who have denied that. I mean, we have heard from the current governor of Benue State. He believes that yes, some of them might be foreigners, but he also talked about how some of them were from neighboring communities.
Because they like I said, it's a porous border because of the ECOWAS treaty. How many of these people have national ID card to be able to trace them, to see where they're from? But by your interaction and the way they dress, the way they talk, you will know that these people definitely are not from this part of the country.
Chimney has questions for you.
Well, yes, Prof. I mean, some years ago you spoke about this same kind of matter, wherein you described the different grades of some of those herdsmen. But I also like to find out, since you didn't extend your research to the northern parts of the country, how then did you come to that conclusion that what you found in... Did you do it in more than 2 or 3 states? How will that apply?
2 states.
2 states. But you know that, that clearly there will be a huge margin of error with that, don't you think?
I agree that there might be sampling error because of the size of the population. But like I said, This is just a prototype of what is going on in other parts of the country. And nobody, if a governor claimed that he paid foreigners, he compensated them.
Prof,
and these are Fulani.
I get those points,
yes.
you know, but if we're going to rely on your research on national television, I mean, you know that we have to do much more than rely on what
I agree with you that we'll expand the scope of the research, but all the facts, all the evidences available buttress what we have said.
Okay, now, if I may even take it a little further, since you focus on those herdsmen, does that then mean that all the crisis caused, can we completely blame the herders for this crisis? What about the cost?
Let me tell you that these have been unrelenting, they are widespread, they are brutal, they are bloody, they are gruesome, and they are deliberate. You heard the Minister of Agri saying that they were going to form cattle colonies. Is that not
pardon me, Prof.
An indirect statement?
Prof, can you hear me? Just a minute. My point is,
yes,
we're looking at this issue with a view to coming up with a solution. So
yes, I have solutions here.
Okay, let's talk solutions then.
So,
because
yes,
there are
exactly.
different, some say we have to look at some of this, if possible, on a case-by-case basis, and some of them, because you heard the Honorable talk about reprisals, and this dates back to a long time ago. So what about those causes that generate those reprisals? How do we deal with that?
Right, so I'll go on to my recommendations, and I'll divide them into two segments: socio-economic recommendations and security recommendation. First is that we say a capital no to grazing reserve or route or nomadism for several reasons. Number one, it conflicts with our constitution, the Land Use Act, which vests power of land ownership on the governors and the local government. The federal government cannot grab community land for private use, while deny the community their means of livelihood. Nigeria has over 400 ethnic groups. Why should one group's economic interest be more important than the others? What is source for the goose is also source for the gander. If we must have grazing route and reserve for cattle, then justice demands we should have the same thing for dogs, for pigs, and for all the other animals.